Good evening, everyone. Thank you for working through our technical difficulties with us. All right, there's my microphone. It's Monday, January 12th, 2026, our first meeting in 2026. Please join us for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. The first item on our agenda is the approval of the consent agenda, which includes the closed session minutes of December 8th, the regular session minutes from December 8th, and the closed session minutes of December 23rd. Motion approved. So a motion by Councilmember Orris, a second by Councilmember Nur. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, let the record reflect on votes unanimous for Councilmember Nichols and Councilmember Burrell, Vice President Burrell, absent. With that being said, Councilmember Nichols asked me to share with everybody that she is going to be absent for this meeting and potentially the next meeting. She's serving in a caretaker role for one of her relatives. Everybody's well, but she's just serving in that capacity. Vice President Burrell may join us for this meeting. He let us know that he might be a few minutes late. If he does, we'll correct the record and let the folks know that Vice President Burrell has arrived. With that being said, let's move on to agenda item number 2. That is a presentation to Rick regarding the National Rural Water Apprenticeship Program. And the Apprenticeship Development Coordinator, Patty Shreves, and Water Resources Director, Jamie Latcham, will both come down. Come on up, Rick. Yeah, keep Sneaky, right?
So I want to thank the mayor and the council for having us.
Come on around this way. if you don't mind.
Sneaky.
Come on around over here. That way everybody can see us and get a little bit of room.
Sneaky.
Hey. Good to see you again. Carol, thank you so much. Come on over here. Oh, yes, I'm sure. You're on the agenda. You are not just observing. All right, kick it off. Go ahead.
Okay, so I want to thank the mayor and the council and the residents of Berlin for having me. This is to recognize Rick, who was one of our first water treatment operators apprentices for Maryland Rural Water, and he has graduated and he has completed. I'm not going to go any further to say that the state, I was supposed to have a citation from the state, but I do not, and we're going to leave it there.
We have.
Right, so we have one from Delegate Hartman.
Fancy.
And did yours say the same thing?
Probably.
Richard Krause, in recognition of your successful completion of the Maryland Rural Water Association's Water Treatment Operator Registered Apprenticeship Program, we commend your dedication to ensure clean and reliable drinking water for our communities.
Nice.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And then we also have Miss Carol from Senator Croz's office.
Mine's a little, it's shorter. This is also from the Maryland General Assembly. And really quickly, so we don't take a lot of time. They're accommodating in recognition of completing the Maryland Rural Water Association Water Treatment Operator Registered Apprenticeship Program in Berlin, Maryland, and for demonstrating your personal professionalism taking the program out.
Wonderful.
And
Thank you.
just really quick, because I think this is important. I want to thank the mayor and council for supporting this program. But Jimmy Charles and Jamie and Tim Lawrence, our department heads that do help new people come in and get the opportunity to have a career and mentor them and work with them. Thank you. We're very blessed with people that care about our town. So, thank you.
Couldn't agree more.
Thank you very much.
Jamie's a man of many words, so.
I'll keep it short and sweet, but Rick is one of two in the state, the first ones to do
Yes.
it. So I wanted to make recognition of that the mayor and council and Kelsey did a lot of assistance, and Kate's helped a lot with all of it, is that you all were granted us to let him do this course online and everything. So it was, he's one of two in the state of Maryland to do all this. So,
2-year course.
Awesome.
yes.
Anything you want to say about it?
And he's received.
It's hard.
Well,
It's a lot. It's a lot. No, it's a lot, but it's well worth it. Because I've got my class 2, water license going.
That's awesome.
So,
And
you did get your certification.
Yeah.
Diane is media boss, and he's taking a load off my shoulders.
and that goes a long way. Like when we're building out the team, it's important for folks to take the initiative to do things like this. Tim's group also with the apprenticeship program in electric, it's huge when we do that. And Carol, you mentioned public works and getting CDL licenses. These are all vital things. I hear from Jamie all the time. Look, we need licensed water and wastewater folks, and this is one step towards getting that.
And we've actually enrolled another gentleman in the wastewater apprentice program. So we'll have, hopefully, it's a 2-year program, so hopefully in a couple of years, 28, we'll be standing up here with them.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for doing that.
Appreciate it.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, and then you got to flip these.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Here, let's get both of them open.
Okay.
Oh, you have to show
Yeah,
them.
right.
Yeah.
Let me get this one up.
Yep, you gotta hold them both.
Yep.
Strategic.
Really dark.
Is it? Hopefully we can fix that. The renovation. Perfect.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Sneaky. Sneaky. Very much. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Up next is agenda item 3, and that's our FY25 audit with PKS and Company and our finance director, Natalie Slay, Running Point. If you can come forward, don't be shy, you all have done this plenty of times, we appreciate it. Thank you so much for the work that both of you and your teams have put into this, Natalie, the same to you and your team.
Thank you.
Just please, we know each other, but introduce yourselves for the public record. You can lift that microphone right up.
Yeah, you can kind of say it.
All right, just a little bit of information on Minicell. I'm Andrew Heaney. I am now the partner in charge of your audit. I know you guys have worked quite a long time with Mike Klager as the partner. Well, Mike has partially retired. Still saw him in the office this morning, but as part of his retirement plan, we are transitioning some of his larger jobs. So your audit transitioned to me as a new partner in charge. Of course, Alyssa has been managing the audit for several years now, and she and her team do a lot of the day-to-day work with your staff. And with that, I'll turn things over to you, Alyssa, for the presentation, and I may chime in here and there with a couple thoughts and comments.
Thank you, Butch.
Okay, so just want to explain what's in front of you first. You have 3 things in front of you. The first one is your audit financial statements, which is your larger packet. And the second thing is your auditor's communications. And then the third is your presentation packet, which is what I'll be going off of today. So if you want to reference that, and I'll make some reference points back to those larger items. So first I'm going to go over the 3 reports that are included in your auditor's financial statements. The first one is your independent audit report. This is covers your basic financial statements, and it has our opinion in accordance with GAAP. And the full report can be found on pages 1 through 3 of the statements if you want to look at that. But we are happy to report that we issued a clean or unmodified opinion, which is the highest level of assurance that we can give as auditors.
Thank you.
And the second report is your government auditing standards report. This is not an opinion report, this states whether we identified any significant deficiencies or material weaknesses in non-compliance. And I'm happy to report again, we did not identify any of those. Then the third report in your statements is your uniform guidance report. And this is required because the town spent over $750,000 of federal money during the fiscal year, which requires a second audit called a single audit. So this reports on that audit, and it states that the town complies with all types of compliance requirements for the major program that was tested, which was the ARPA program. And that the schedule of expenditures of federal award was fairly stated by the year. And if you want to look at the detail of the schedule of expenditures of federal awards, on page 65 of the statements. And then going into the numbers, first we'll start with your general fund. So you can see here it's your general fund statement of revenues, expenditures, and changes in fund balance. For fiscal year 2025, the town had about $10.8 million in revenues, and then about $9.8 million in expenditures. Net other financing sources were about $460,000, leading to a total increase in fund balance for the year of about $1.5 million. This also shows your budget to actual for 2025. Just some key variances there. Your revenues were favorable, about $1.6 million over plan. And then your expenses were also favorable, about $4.2 million under budget. And this is mainly due to the timing of capital expenditures. There's a more detailed version of this in your statements on page 53 if you want to take a look at that, but it's the majority of that is your capital expenditure differences. And then for the general fund, we look at fund balance, and this is your difference between your assets and your liabilities, and it's a key financial measure of how you're doing as a town. The GFOA recommends that the fund balance, the unassigned fund balance, be no less than 60 days or 2 months of operating expenditures. So for fiscal 2025, the total fund balance at the end of the year was about $3.4 million. And this is categorized based on how you plan to spend it in the future. The portion considered unrestricted, which is your committed, your assigned, and your unassigned, is about $12.3 million. And this is the amount that's available for spending in unexpected contingencies. And it represents about 15 months of operating expenses. And then just your unassigned is about $3.7 million. And this is about 5 months of operating expenditure. So the town is considered healthy in the unassigned and unrestricted fund balance, because it's above the 2 months or 60 days of operating expenditures.
I do want to pause if you don't mind, because folks at home might see the non-spendable going down. And just as a point of record and note, kudos to Natalie and to Jamie for their work in the sewer fund. But that non-spendable due from is the sewer portion that is now, Natalie, your news to share. Go ahead.
What, listen?
No. Natalie, your news to share.
So back in history, due to non-balanced funds and stormwater and the sewer funds, to close the fund at the end of the year, and just to clarify, it has nothing to do with actual cash transfers, but the balance of actual fund as a performance or the balance of the fund at the end of the year. The sewer fund was in deficiency, so it had to borrow to close the net, basically balanced, to be in a good condition from the general fund. General fund is considered to be overall umbrella over all the funds. Stormwater and the sewer fund accumulated the balance for past, I want to say, more than 15 years due to unexpected capital expenditures or aging infrastructure or debt service that was not covered by the EDU recovery fees. And the balance was growing. 10 years ago, we have decided to reduce that balance in half and agreed to pay slowly over the next 10 years the balance in increments of 300 or 350, depending on balance availability. For the past couple of years, we've been working due diligence to bring the balance to positive, and 2025 was the most balanced year, we have made a decision to actually close that balance to zero. So there is no longer a balance period due to back to general fund on the sewer fund. Stormwater fund is still work in progress, but that amount is reduced, and now we can see it's down to $102,850.
When was the last time the sewer fund didn't owe money to the general fund?
Before Natalie's existence.
Which is well, so well over 15, maybe even 20 years.
2010, 2009, somewhere about right there, 2007.
sounds about right. Wow, so a long time. Good work to both of you, and thank you for that.
So do I understand correctly, Natalie, that this 102,850 due from other funds is due from stormwater?
It's just stormwater balance.
If you look at page 38 in the big audit report, it shows that exactly.
It's further in here with both funds, but the one I wanted to note was the fact that it's good news, plus it's something when you're looking at the general fund balance as a citizen, you might not understand what that truly means. So thank you for explaining. And good work.
So then here is just a visual of your fund balance over the last 6 years. It's the highest level it's been in the past 6 years. And like I mentioned before, the total fund balance is about $3.5 million at the end of fiscal year 25.
Go ahead.
So this is more of a general budgeting philosophical question, I think. When we're looking at this graph, or when everyone's looking at this graph here with the general fund balance, I think it was last year, year before, someone had said that the one color is what we're looking for. So I guess what I'm asking is, is it better, in your auditory opinion, to have higher unassigned or higher assigned, or is that is that a philosophical question for the policymakers?
Yeah, it's more of a philosophical question, back to Alyssa's previous comment and the GFAO recommendations, having your unassigned meet that 60-plus day rule is something you really should be looking for, because that
We're way past that.
Yeah,
But we actually-
you're way past that. You're 5 months, just looking at the unassigned, and the reason that's important is you can, you have money available for those unplanned things, because you guys know running a town or running a city, one unexpected repair can be $1 million repair for something, and it really cuts into that fund balance, so you guys can really afford that. But if you're looking for one of those specific colors, it's the unassigned, just from a day-to-day management and planning for the unexpected.
And that's what I was, thank you for that. And that's what I was just trying to figure out, if that was more of a, I don't want to say political, but more of a legislative determination on where it better serves the town.
So let me unpack it a little bit further. So yes, everything about the unassigned that's been stated is true. However, the town a couple years ago took an additional step and created a few different assigned funds. And with that, we took the GFOA standard and applied that to the stabilization fund. So we have a couple different layers. We actually have the unassigned, which is easier to tap. And then we have the assigned, which requires a little bit more action to tap those things. But it's also built as a secondary buffer, along with the capital reserve, along with the insurance reserve that the town built, because we wanted to mitigate large swings in health insurance costs. And if you recall, last year, we even moved some HRA money over to that as well to further bolster it. Just because we've had so many years without a major move, we wanted to make sure we're in a good spot. So we've built many layers into this, along with like in the committed side of things where you see the debt service, that's designed to cover, even if we didn't have any money that we could put for a year into covering our debt service that's on the general fund, we have that as an additional cushion. We have the disaster recovery for storms. It's not a lot, but it helps us get started when we need to in a bind. So
Yeah.
we've got a lot of duplicity built in, and for that point, when you're dealing with municipal infrastructure, it doesn't take long to get a pretty hefty bill.
Yeah, and, just simplified version of that, just with those assigns, they're taking burden out of your unassigned. Before you assign those, it was a higher burden into unassigned funds. So that it, as the mayor said, you're planning for those and have those separated, that it has relieved some of that burden also.
To add to the mayor's comment, which is all correct, we have established an internal reserve policy which states that in case if we are expensing anything from committed and assigned balance, the unassigned balance is to replenish that per our policy. So it's basically serving as a backup plan. If we have, for example, unexpected event and we have transferred money to a certain disaster recovery plan, then unassigned balance will come in and replenish that balance to the amount stated in the policy.
Thank you for that.
So here you'll see your general fund revenues by source. The total revenues for the general fund for the year was about $10.8 million. Your largest source, of course, is your property taxes, which is about $5.2 million, or 49% of the general fund total revenues. Some other significant sources of revenues are your intergovernmental or your grant revenues, which this year were about $2.2 million, or 20% of the total. And then your service charges from the enterprise funds, about $1 million, or 9% of the total. Compared to last year, your total revenues in the general fund increased about $1.1 million. And then here's your general fund expenditures by category. For 2025, total expenditures for the year were about $9.8 million. Your largest area of expenditure is public safety, which is about $3 million, or 33% of your total expenditures. And then following that is your general government, which is your admin, finance, customer accounts. That was about $1.9 million, or 19%. And then your public works was about $1.2 million, or 12%. Compared to last year, your total expenditures increased about $2.1 million, or 20%. And this is mainly due to an increase in your capital outlay line. There you can see that that increased about $1.6 million. And then you also had an increase in public safety and general government for the year. Moving on to your enterprise funds, this consists of your electric, water, sewer, and stormwater funds. And these funds are intended to be run like a for-profit business. So they are funded by user charges, and then the revenues are set to hopefully cover the costs for the year. One of the key items we like to look at is your operating income of each fund. So for the electric fund, we had an operating income of about $361,000. This did decrease from the prior year by about $277,000. Within your operating revenues is your service charges, which increased a little bit, $7,000 over last year, and your total revenues decreased by about $87,000 for your electric fund. Your total expenses increased by about $190,000, mostly due to an increase in personnel expenses and supplies and operating. And then last year, we did have a capital grant. There were no capital grants this year for 25. At the end of the year, the total change in that position increased by about $232,000.
The council can see here that the need for that rate case is evident because of the way that we recover some of these costs. It's easier for us to change that in enterprise funds like water, sewer, and stormwater because we don't have the layer of the Public Service Commission. Where we have the layer of the Public Service Commission, it takes a significant capital outlay to do a rate case and then present it to the Public Service Commission and then get it approved. So you can see that the challenge is that the costs don't keep pace as quickly as what they do in the water and the sewer and stormwater. Is that correct, Natalie?
Yes.
What's the big difference in interest expense?
I think
The new debt.
It's interest actual expense coming from our current funds that we draw for A line.
We started the A-line project.
Thank you.
And then for the water fund, this had an operating loss of about $79,000, which is similar to prior years. The service charges within the operating revenues did increase a little bit by about $8,000. Your expenses increased, however, by about $21,000 or 2% over last year, and that's mainly your increases in personnel expenses and repairs and maintenance. You did have some capital grants recognized this year, which was the ARPA monies of about $297,000, and then capital service fees of about $135,000. And then you collected special connection fees of about 26,000 for the year, which these are restricted for capital projects and repayment of debt. And then the total change in that position was about 422,000 for the year.
Thank you.
And your sewer fund, this had an operating income of about $480,000. The total operating revenue did decrease by about $117,000, and this was mainly due to a pretty large decrease in your hauler fees for the year compared to last year. And then your operating expenses increased by about $170,000. And then in your capital grant and service fee lines, you did recognize about $114,000 ARPA monies for the year, and then about $382,000 of capital service fees collected, and then special connection fees collected were about $74,000, leading to a total increase in net position for the sewer fund of about $1.6 million.
Would it be reasonable to infer that the sewer fund special connection fees and the water fund special connection fees are quite lower than previous year due to the moratorium we had for a while? Would that be
Yes.
reasonable? Yeah.
Definitely.
And then lastly, your stormwater fund. This had an operating loss of about $72,000 this year. And then operating expenses did increase by about $65,000. And last year, you had a pretty large capital grant, which is what was the ARPA monies recognized last year. No, nothing was recognized this year. So the total decrease in net position for the stormwater was about $72,000.
And out of the enterprise fund, still in one closing.
And then for your enterprise funds, we look at the net position instead of fund balance, which is what it was in general fund. The net position, we consider long-term items such as capital assets, long-term debt, and then any other liabilities like net pension liability. Those things are not considered in the fund balance in general fund. So the total net position for the enterprise funds for the year was about $38 million. A large portion of this is your capital assets, your infrastructure. That's about $28 million. And then about $1.1 million is your special connection fees and EDUs that are restricted, and then leaving an unrestricted net position of about $8.7 million for the year. And then here, as we were talking about earlier, is your balances due to from other funds. You can see that the due to general fund, the sewer fund is no longer there. That was paid off this year. And then the due to general fund from the stormwater fund was reduced by the budgeted repayments to about $103,000. And then for your enterprise funds, we like to look at what we call working capital, and this is your current assets less your liabilities, and it indicates the liquid or spendable portion of your enterprise fund capital. The GFOA recommends a target of no less than 45 days, and you can see here that all the funds are well over that minimum. And then we just wanted to point out a new accounting pronouncement that was implemented this past year. It's GASB Statement 101, Confiscated Absences. This did lead to a pretty significant increase in your accrued confiscated absences, which is your vacation and your sick leave. So last year, in 2024, we only recognized a liability for your accrued vacation because it's paid out at termination. With this new GASB Statement 101, we have to also consider accrued sick leave, what will be taken over the next, until the employee is terminated. So it significantly increased your 2024 balance because you have to restate the prior year. That did increase by about $108,000 with this adoption to a total of $643,000 for 2024. And then 2025, your accrued confiscated absences were $689,000.
And that basically says that if every employee,
It's more.
It's a normal estimation of your sick leave
Yeah,
going to
it's-
be used over the next.
Yeah, it's more of a calculation of, even though at termination, you don't pay sick leave, the GASB wanted all governments to recognize what that costs a government, because people are still going to take sick leave while they're employed. So it's kind of a formula they're using to come up with an amount of sick leave. Let's say a 20-year employee will take over those 20 years.
How is that helpful?
It is, no comment. We just help you apply the standards in, in a lot of respects. It added a large liability to a lot of our governments, just like the pension a few years ago, where, the pension liability for most governments we work with, it's not the real liability, because you guys are paying exactly what the actuary tells you to pay into the pension every year. So to have to recognize something above what you're being told to pay doesn't make a lot of sense either, but that's what the GASB wants, so.
Well, thank you for that. We appreciate it.
And to add to that, if you're actually looking and past historical data to estimate the future sick leave taken. So basically, we're predicting how many people are gonna be out sick based on 5 years past data, like COVID and times, which makes it more even complicated.
It makes you wonder how a government's supposed to operationalize that. It doesn't provide tangible, unless I'm missing it, doesn't provide something tangible for us from a decision-making point of view.
But it's a prediction of what if, basically.
Yes.
What if? What if? Very much. Thank you all.
There's more information within the footnotes too as well on this, if you want to take a look at that on your screen. So some new pronouncements going forward for the next fiscal year. 2 of them, GASB statement number 103. This is just mainly improving consistency among the governments for the MD&A structure and format and budgetary comparisons. It won't be a huge impact on the town. And then the other one is statement number 104, which is disclosure of certain capital assets. And this also has to do with your disclosure and your footnotes of your right to use assets for leases and subscriptions. And then just want to comment on the smaller packet that you have in front of you, which is your auditor's communication. This could potentially have 3 letters. It does not. It has 2 because the town doesn't have any material weaknesses or significant deficiencies. So you only see 2 letters within there. The first one being your management letter. And this just contains some additional knowledge or guidance on some things we like to point out at the end of the year. There were 3 things in that letter, just additional information on your pledged collateral, additional information on that GASB 101 that we implemented, and then any remaining unspent ARPA funds. So mainly that's just a lot of more informational stuff for you to look at. And then the second letter is your communications letter. This just contains a lot of standard audit language that we are required to report to you. There was no significant difficulties during the audit, no disagreements with management. We reviewed and agreed with all estimates in the statements. We implemented GASB 101, and then no matters of non-compliance were reported.
Thank you.
And that's about it. And I just wanted to thank Natalie for all her help. You come in here and ask for a lot of stuff in a matter of a week. So we really appreciate all her work and all her staff's work, and it's a lot. And we appreciate the smooth audit that it usually is.
And then I barge in on you, Terry.
Yeah.
I have a question for you. Could you go back to page 8? General fund revenues, I see it in my, I think it's a highlight. I just want to I think it's all in. I'll take it up there.
Okay.
But, so down at other revenue, I've seen this in the email version earlier. I think it's important to note, Natalie, from not celebrating something, please something that, but so 7% of our revenue right there, in a world of rising expenditures and revenues, that we are blessed that we do see usually an increase in our property tax revenue, some just by the nature of the assessed values. But in that other revenue, if you look at this bigger packet, it talks about earnings on investments. So it's $717,000 of that other revenue is earnings on investment, right? Which is a fantastic thing that I think we should all be very proud of, because that is really speaking of value to our citizens. We're raising dollars without tapping them. I think that's congratulations on that. That's fantastic. You see, the year before it was about $200,000 less. So I think we should celebrate that, because that does help us. mitigate some of those rising expenditures that we can't always, really do anything about. So thank you for that.
Worth 4 cents on tax rate.
Yeah.
Good job.
So I just have a general question as well. I had emailed Natalie and, responded very nicely in time. I'm just curious about the overall debt that the town carries. And on page 38 of this book, there is the number there. But I'm just wondering, does that also include things like the Heron Park and I can't think of else we have, any type of bonds or whatnot we have, I guess it doesn't says bonds, but specifically like Heron Park,
Public
Works, renovations.
meter.
Page 39 includes every single thing under the general fund.
So I will add this to page 38.
Page 38 is a short summary of all of the long-term debt. Excuse me, per fund.
Yeah.
And GASB requires us also capitalize the leases and consider that as a debt because we're committing to a future payments, which I don't particularly consider that as a true debt, but it is a payment of a future amount. But page 38, if you look, 2.4 million, 2.5 million is a total general fund debt, including every single outstanding note that we have in the general fund. Going to the electric, that's included bond premium, which is the new bond for AMI, 2.1 million. That's total electric debt. Sewer fund is 6.1. And the water fund, we have a new, no, I'm sorry. Water fund does not have debt. I'm thinking about public works, the new bond, but that's on the general fund.
And
So
there's more of a detailed file on that on 38 to 42.
39 through 41.
Yeah, 39
is
through
the
43.
description, yes.
If you're looking for a specific details on a bond or debt, that's where the individual debts are broken down.
Okay. Thank you.
All right.
Natalie, congratulations to you and your team on an excellent audit report. GAS calls it clean and unmodified, but I say it's a job well done, so thank you.
Thank you. It's a team.
Yeah, I think Sarah's going for all the work that goes into it. People don't realize that, like, we finish the budget, you get like one deep breath, then it's audit, another deep breath, holidays, then budget again, so. Thank you. We appreciate it. We'll see you all again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, up next, agenda item 4, items for approval. We'll start with 4A, that's motion 2026-01, special event request for the Brittingham Family Reunion at Stephen Cater Park on Saturday, August 15th, 2026. And we have the event organizer, Michael Phillips. Oh, okay. Not Michael. How are you?
Hi, I'm Lita Tinley. I'm here on the behalf of Michael Booth and Brittingham Family Reunion.
Just reintroduce yourself again. I didn't catch your
My
first
name is Lita Tinley.
Nice to meet you.
Yes, and I want requesting special approval for the Brittingham Family Reunion. And we want to have it in Berlin because most of our family is from Berlin. And we'd like to have it at the Berlin Park because most of our elderly people can travel there and it make it easy for them to get there. The date we plan on to have it is August 15, 2026.
Thank you. Any questions for Ms. Tinley?
Well, sir, I read in the staff report that there were some concerns about trash last year and driving on the park. Just, can we address that? And is that something that you feel like won't happen again?
Yes, I feel like it won't happen again. See, my elderly aunt we had her parked up front, but we know just to bring another chair because she couldn't sit in the regular lawn chairs. So that's why we had that one car parked up to the front. And the trash, I did walk around in the area to collect trash, but I'll make sure everything is collected and put it in the trash cans.
So big party, sounds like you got a package again. Jimmy, is there anything you need to add to that?
This is like,
We'll just make sure we have additional trash cans too in that location. To do that.
Thank you. It says in the staff report that you've gotten a copy of all the park rules and everything like that, so you're good to go?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, hold on, we're not done yet. Almost, you're close. Any other questions for Ms. Tinley? Okay, if not, we'll seek action by the council. Actually, public comment. Anybody from the public that would like to address the council regarding motion 2026-01? Seeing none, action by the council.
Motion to approve.
So I have a motion by Councilmember Green, a second by Councilmember Orris. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, let the record reflect the votes unanimous with Councilmember Nichols and Vice President Burrell absent. Thank you. Thank you so much. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year too.
I said this to my colleagues, I feel like taking one meeting off and then coming back, it's like we're getting on the bicycle again.
It's been a month.
I know, it's crazy. All right, agenda item 4B, motion 2026-02. This is for the Maryland State Firemen's Association. I always say Firemen's Association, Firefighters Association, special event request for Saturday, June 20th, 2026. And just to be clear, this is for the parade and not the convention. I know that was misreported in at least one news source. So if you don't mind just introducing yourself for the record, sir, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, Mayor and Council, distinguished department leaders. For the record, my name is Robbie Blackiston. I am the convention conference chair for the Maryland State Firefighters Association. Back in December, before I get that, I have some guests I want to introduce. I have a couple of gentlemen and ladies with me tonight. I have a current sitting First Vice President Bill Faust. I have the current second Vice President Lee Lutz. His wife is a past president of the Ladies Auxiliary, Ms. Sandy Lutz. Past President Paul Sterling, past President Roger Steger, which Roger's probably a known name in this area. So those two folks, Paul and Roger, are the parade leaders. They handle the parade every year that we've had it in Ocean City. So we're here tonight, as the letter states, and on December the 8th, we've done some exploring of new venue with our parade. We've had a decrease of participation across the state of Maryland with participants. So through some logistics, we met with the Mayor and Council of Ocean City. Due to the logistic reasons, we figured that we could bring a parade on a weekend would be better for our members. When we're saying our members, we're talking about the state of Maryland. It's hard to get off during the week. Our parade's been on Wednesday for many years. But we had a committee meeting and the town of Berlin come up, and here we are. We've had several meetings with different folks. We even met and done a walkthrough on December 23rd through the main downtown business on Main Street. We provided a flyer, information to get back with us, with all business and or business managers. To date, there's been no questions, or I haven't received any information from that. And working with President of the Chambers, with Dave Fitzgerald, has been a great asset with us, working with the town of Berlin. And we're here tonight to answer any questions for the permit that's in front of you at this time.
Thank you so much. We appreciate the summary and then also the diligence and initiative taken to reach out to the businesses. This is something new for Berlin, not new to the community, but new for the town of Berlin. We certainly know how to throw a party and a parade, and look forward to hopefully approving this evening and welcoming the Firefighters Association, always be the Firemen's Association, in my mind, to Berlin for the parade. But it's important to make it work for everybody, and I think that you all have started that conversation, and we look forward to it. So I'll open it up to my colleagues for any questions.
Mr. Blackiston, can you tell me how many participants you had in Ocean City last year, and what is your estimate that you would have?
I'm going to probably defer, but I'm going out on a limb. I got some backup with me. I think we had just over 100 participants. That's from across the state of Maryland. We're anticipating hopefully increasing that to 150, 160. The problem with this is that was on a Wednesday. That was in the middle of the week. This is on a Saturday and weekend. And I can give you rough estimates, but that's at my guess, unless Paul or Roger might have a better guess than that. I don't have that exact number. Sure. So I'll be glad to provide you updated information as it comes in. We are starting something new also with electronic pre-registering of our participants so we can get some type of account, because it's been hard over the years.
Sure.
Yeah.
And my next question is, I see you want to use the Stephen Decatur Park as an alternative staging site.
Yes.
When will you know if you actually need that? a week in advance, 2 weeks?
We could probably even go, I'll even go try it a month in advance, so we'll do our best to do
Got
that.
back up.
Chief,
Here he is.
Okay. Good to see you, Roger.
Roger Stager, parade chairman for the Monroe State Firefighter Association. Probably right now, I can say we're gonna use it, but what we're looking at is the parking lot that is on the north side of Tripoli Street.
Gotcha.
And nothing in the park itself, you know what I mean, we're not gonna drive on the grass or any stuff. We're looking for a staging area, and what we're planning on putting there is our, law enforcement and, state agencies that come to the parade, and, they're one of the first ones to go through, and then that street will be totally open back up, you know what I mean?
Might do better with Buckingham potentially, Roger. As a potential option, having that bus loop as well, because it dumps right out on the main.
President Fitzgerald is dealing with the schools to get us permission and authorization, and then we gotta add it to a liability insurance. So we're working on it now. We just had to meet that firehouse again for Camp Perry. Tomorrow morning, we're expecting to go in 100% full speed ahead, because we sort of, we can't do anything until you guys approve us. You know what I mean? We're looking forward to it. Been doing the parade for over 50 years in Ocean City. I have personally. And I feel this is a win-win for everybody involved. For the Fire Association, for our participants, for the town of Berlin. And we gotta get back to getting, we wanna increase it. We're the only state firemen's association right now on the East Coast that still has a parade. And we don't want it to go away. So we're looking for it. Like Robbie said, we're working with the businesses. We're looking at a couple of different options that we can try to get people here at 10 o'clock in the morning before the parade starts at 2. To have like a touch a truck for the kids come, the parents are coming. So that's what we're working on, a lot of different things. Thank you.
Can I ask, I think you said this a minute ago.
Sure.
How many units do you anticipate?
Yeah, we had approximately 114 last year.
Okay.
So this year, as the gentleman asked, I don't know right now.
Right.
But like I said, I'm glad on a limb. It's about 150 or 160, because, you know, this word gets out and it's on a Saturday. That's the intent.
Okay, I do just want to make sure we understand what that might mean.
Sure.
Our Christmas parade is about 90 entries. That's 2 hours.
The parade used to be what, like 4
Now,
hours?
the fire parade doesn't stop in
Stop.
front of the judges stand and
No.
perform and that kind of thing. It's kind of a straight through. But I want to make sure we've got a clear picture of what this could be.
And
That's piggybacking on what Mary said. This is, you mentioned this is the first time that you're doing a pre-registration. So if some unit shows up, will they just be let in?
yes, we're doing a pre-registration to get, because it's a new venue, trying to get some numbers. And I think this question is valid, and that's why we want them numbers. So we can just show up or somebody can just show up.
Excuse me.
Getting back to 4 hours won't be a problem, I think, as far
No.
as, I mean, it's a long time of running. Now, what I would also add is that, with that, is there a plan to, most of your activities probably gonna take place during a set boundary, I know it's here in the map, but taking one lane of travel, logistically, have you vetted this plan for traffic flow? Are we occupying both lanes coming all the way down throughout the
I
whole?
think it would have to.
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right.
Doing it for safety for one thing.
Okay.
For the participants and for the spectators. Because you don't want traffic flowing with people trying to watch the parade, cars going by. What speeds our parade up in Ocean City so far is we have less marching units. And the less marching units, the faster the parade goes speed-wise. And we're hoping to get a couple bands, more bands in, and hopefully we'll get some marching firefighters too, which we haven't had in the last 4 or 5 years. It's just that most of the younger people, I would say, is not, they come to Ocean City for the convention, they go to the meetings in the convention center and stuff, but on Wednesday, all the conferences are over with, and most of them go home on Wednesday, so we don't have marching units in the parade. We're hoping we'll get marching units back in, and with the staging area, Mr. Mayor, is, we're going to Worcester Prep and the county athletic field, and we're just trying to put, and we might use Buckingham, but David, like I said, is working on that now, is to put the president's units in the front and the law enforcement's in the front, so they can go on and go back to where they want to go. But, you know, we're trying to get a good plan together, and like I said, I think it's a win for everybody.
Is the stage then just, fundamentally just to announce who's passing?
That's correct. Yeah, the stage is for the judges, or viewing stand, and that's just an announcement stand. That's basically what that is.
Just for comparison, I believe you said you had about 114 last year in Ocean City. The parade was about 50 minutes.
Yeah, that's correct. That is correct.
That is correct. Even if you double it,
yes,
you know.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going more than a couple hours.
Yeah, as we stated, went from 4, and then last year was the year that really shined the light, and we were right there at 50 minutes, and we said we got to do something different.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Sure. Understandable.
Is it rain or shine?
Yes. Yes.
And I did want to point out, I did speak to David Fitzgerald, and he asked me to email questions to him, which he got to you because I see some of the answers.
Sure.
So I appreciate that is what I wanted to say. And then my last question really, for me is, we don't need to go too into the woods here, but do you know what kind of marketing you're planning with the business and the chamber to get people to stay here and patron?
We're trying to get that. Matter of fact, we had that meeting just prior to this meeting. We got some things in place.
Okay.
I don't want to elaborate on that right now because we're working behind the scenes, but believe me, we're going to market this thing because this venue, I think, is yes. And just for the record, and Mr. Mayor, I appreciate that comments, but this is just the parade. This is not the total convention and conference. I know there's been some information put out there. I've had some phone calls. I want to make that clear. So I appreciate that.
And even in some of those news interviews, we made that clear, but it still didn't.
Absolutely.
The news is great, but sometimes we get it incorrect all the way around.
Absolutely.
So Jimmy, I'm
Sorry.
sorry, I did have one question for you. It does say here that you're going to need staff to move the stage and check for any trash cans. I guess what I'm asking is how many, and then it is a holiday weekend for our staff, right? Isn't that, it's a holiday?
Juneteenth.
It's Juneteenth.
Yep.
Oh, yes, it is, you're right.
So I would assume then you would decide to offer flex time or something, or however they would decide. How many would you need, I guess, is.
I'm estimating, with conversations with the gentlemen too, they actually expressed that they'll have assistance of fire police that'll be in areas throughout the town. So I'm only actually expecting 6, maybe 8 employees that we need
to move the stage. Is that?
No, on hand for the event, but is that
The stage and trash.
Right.
Yeah, we'll assist anywhere we can, and we have a statewide fire police suit. But there also is a logistics team that comes with this, so we can provide people also. And I think we've already spoken about that. So we're willing to put those people out there too, and work with you guys.
And to answer your question, Councilmember Orris, Mary and I have talked already about the idea of flexing that holiday time for anybody that has to come in.
Yeah, the stage only takes a couple people. We really would be 2, 3 people at the most. Trash cans, we have them already. They'll be deployed earlier in the morning, and so we don't expect to see a lot of trash. So even that, we can run the sweeper pretty quick right after that. So.
And the closure of the road will only be about 1:30, 1:45 until the end. So we're not closing the road until then. So everything will be open and running through town through that whole process as people come in and apparatus come in. So we're not closing that down until the parade. Main Street.
All right,
Make sure
any
we have
other,
a new parking lot to use.
Yeah.
any other questions for the gentleman? If not, any comments from the public? Seeing none, we'll take action.
This is certainly a great way to celebrate our first responders, so I
Thank you.
Make a motion, we approve the parade.
Thank you. Got a motion by Councilmember Burr,
I'll second.
second by Councilmember Orris. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, let the record reflect that the vote's unanimous with Councilmember Nichols and Vice President Burrell absent. Congratulations, gentlemen. We look forward to it in Berlin.
And thank you very much for taking your time out and putting this on your agenda. And I will leave you with this. We ask that all of you, if you would, this is your invite to participate in our parade this year. We really would love to have you in our parade. So thank you very much.
We appreciate it. Thank you so much. Make sure Sarah has your contact information and we'll coordinate. Thank you. See you Tuesday.
Excuse me. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
I have a little gift for you.
Thank you.
Oh, we can
You might want to give the gift before the vote.
Here, I'll show you where I have all these counties. Thank you.
We'll get yours when we come back.
Don't forget all of the drinks. Oh, this is.
Oh, I see. Different.
Oh, sorry. Take one. Nobody will know. All right, let's move on to agenda item 4C, and this is the discussion and a motion for motion 2026-03, and that's the tattoo moratorium. I'll run point on this. This is the can that we keep kicking down the road. It feels like eternity, but the big challenge here is that the tattoo committee has met. We have had draft guidelines on the books on our end for quite some time, well over a couple of years now. The challenge is getting it adopted by Worcester County, and what I mean by that is the county commissioners serve as the Board of Public Health for Worcester County, and Mary and I were talking about this, and it's like, why can't we just do like what Wycomico County is doing? And the reason is that Wycomico County operates on a complaint-driven process. So if Jack, who is a master of all trades, has a tattoo establishment, and he's got all the businesses, so I'm going to use him as the example. But if Jack's operating his tattoo parlor in Wycomico County, there aren't these proactive inspections. However, when Steve goes to get his tattoo and his full sleeve, then he can say, man, I think that there's something wrong with Jack's establishment, and then the health department has to come out and perform the inspection. Berlin wants to do it differently. We would like to have proactive inspections, meaning that annually Jack's tattoo establishment would be checked for cleanliness and all the different points to make sure that it's a working and a healthy establishment for people to go to. With that, it takes buy-in from the Worcester County Health Department and Worcester County Board of Health, which is the commissioners, to add that scope of work to the Worcester County Health Department's purview. It's not that different. It's very similar to what is already done for piercing studios. However, there's not a pathway for tattoos in Worcester County as far as proactive health inspections. So what we've been working on since this inception of our idea and policy or draft guidelines is to try and find a way that we can help the health department get that purview within their scope. And we haven't given up on that, but it's going to take a little bit more time and probably some collaboration at the state level. Other counties in Maryland are experiencing a similar situation. They are working on ways to help advocate at the state level for some change and potentially some state guidelines like other states in the area have. So we are trying to partner with them in that process. But in the meantime, we got to have something that covers our end of things. So that's why it's the extension of the moratorium through 2026.
So if.
Right, 2027.
Yeah, but through 26. The entire
Calendar year.
Calendar year.
So if I remember, this has been going on for a long time. Did we at some point, we wrote a letter to the commissioners asking them to review their stance, and they said no. Is that-
We wrote a letter to the commissioners asking to appear before them to have a discussion about this.
And they said no.
They never responded.
Okay.
As far as, they never responded from the sense of the ability to come and sit down and have that conversation.
Okay, well, I was wondering if we could, perhaps try that angle again. And if the council.
We're always open to that.
If the council has consensus here to approve you drafting another letter and sending them a request
We'll
to.
send the same letter, change the date.
Not instead of this, but in
Oh, yeah, yeah.
conjunction with this.
You can always rescind this
Yeah.
at any time.
I just think that, let's try that again as well, and see kind of where we land.
How long has it been since you sent a letter?
2 years, I think.
2 years,
Probably 2 years
So
ago.
it's a good time, but we've been kicking this can down the road.
Yeah.
I mean, our hands are somewhat tied on where we're gonna go. I'm just saying, like, there's nowhere we can go with this.
No, but not now. Yeah, I was tired of seeing it, frankly, on the agenda. So I was like, here, we're just, spinning our wheels constantly. But I'm happy to hear about the meet that the committee has met,
Well, the committee hasn't met for a while. There's nothing to meet.
because you have a consensus on what you.
No, I mean, we have had the guidelines in place. And the things that are our driving force, we've met with the health department, we've met with county representatives, we've tried to have meetings with the commissioners. But the hard part is that without the commissioners adding this to the scope of work for the health department, we can't do anything else. Like, there's no other work that can be done.
The alternative would be for Berlin to implement its own regulations, including the appropriate personnel to oversee this. And
Like a mini health office.
You would need somebody that can do the health inspections.
So if, I'm just wondering, do you need a taxing moratorium?
Well, if not, you're gonna operate under, well, I'll defer to the town attorney. What happens if you don't have a moratorium?
Someone put up over a tattoo shop right there.
And they would have to go by the county regulations?
The county has them. They say that a doctor needs to be.
But that's right, yeah, right, but that's not a regulation? Saying that, I mean, it's a regulation that they don't want them, because nobody's gonna have a doctor on site.
Well, it's a barrier to entry, right?
Right.
So when you say, businesses try to do that, you can do that in a pathway, like filing a patent, right? Or a trademark or something like that. That creates a high barrier to entry, nobody can enter the market. The commissioners have similarly set a very high barrier to entry, and other municipalities in Worcester County have adopted that same language to make it so that the barrier to entry, if you're a physician, are you gonna be a tattoo artist
Right.
also?
Exactly.
Where's money? So,
I recommend we utilize Councilman Horst's recommendations, send a letter to the county once again.
I'm good with that.
And approve the moratorium.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it was along with things.
yeah, if something moves on this between now and January 31, 2027, you can hold a moratorium.
And we're gonna continue with the advocacy work with the other entities in the state to hopefully, maybe get some adoption at the state level as well.
In the meantime, don't go to Jack's.
Yes,
I wouldn't. I've seen his doodles.
It's never been inspected.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right.
So, all right, we'll open it up for any public comment. Seeing none,
So-
action by the council.
I'll go ahead and amend motion 2026-03 to approve the extension of the tattoo moratorium to January 31st, 2027, while also granting the mayor permission on our behalf to write the commissioners again, asking for some,
A meeting.
Do you want the text of the motion amended, or do you just want that reflected in the minutes?
I think that can be just reflected in the minutes and if everybody's okay with that.
Yep. All right.
Could you send a letter to us to just a
Certainly. If we don't send a letter without you all getting copies of it.
Well, I guess yes, it's been, I've never seen one, it's because I've been a lot.
Probably.
Yeah.
So, all right, so I have a motion by Councilmember Ward, a second by Councilmember Nur. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, let the record reflect the vote unanimous with Councilmember Nichols and Vice President Burrell absent. Thank you all. Up next is agenda item 4D, resolution 2026-01, and that's fee schedule amendment Town Administrator Mary Boland and Acting Planning Director Ryan Hardesty are going to run for it.
I am actually going to let Brian run for this. This was her initiative, and
Thank you,
she
Ryan.
needs credit for it.
Go ahead.
Staff requesting consideration of an amendment to the town's current building fee schedule, adding a line item, which you will see in the packet, that is just for like-to-like residential repair permits. The intent is to create a reduced flat rate permit fee for residential repairs for roof replacement, window replacement, siding replacement, and doors, as long as they're not changing the size or the footprint of the structure. Under the current fee schedule, these types of repairs are assessed by the construction costs, similar to larger projects like complete renovations or additions. This could create a financial burden to residents who are just trying to take care of their properties and keep them code compliant. These type of permits also require significantly less review time by staff. So we are requesting that these types of permits just have a flat rate fee of $60, which is the flat rate fee for all the other permits as well.
Thank you. I think that's a very good idea, and we know that building costs aren't going down, so it definitely helps those that are trying to make those repairs and keep things in order. Thank you. Any questions for Ryan?
So, Ryan, I just have two questions. I promise I'll be quick. So on the sheet here, this graph, you have, or it's placed, the new red is the new fee, and then under it says $1 to 3,000 is 60. So is this, so it's the same fee technically, but like to like doesn't really change?
Exactly.
Okay.
It would never be more than $60.
For FY26?
Yes, for those types of repairs only,
Okay,
regardless of the construction costs.
okay. And then my
It
other.
doesn't alter the rest of the building permit fee structure at all, just adds that.
And then my only other question is, what happens, or can you walk me through if this is a home in the historic district?
Nothing changes. They still need to get historic approval first.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah, I like it as well. Thanks for bringing it to us. I think, for the case of because I'm about to do it, $20,000 roof, instead of, I think if I'm reading correctly, it'd be $275, $75 plus 1% of the cost.
Exactly.
It would be revised, I'm assuming. I think it's expensive to cover anyway, so I appreciate I think it's great.
Well, as Ryan noted to me, those are the kinds of ordinary expenses we want to encourage property owners to do, rather than allowing properties to go into disrepair.
Yeah.
So you want to make your fee structure, the town needs to be aware of what's happening in the town, but you want your fee structure to be friendly.
Yeah.
Ryan, I think this is a great idea. Is there a list of items that would fall under this, or are there any other examples?
There's not a list, but it would be anything that's like to like your normal like maintenance, roofs, windows, doors, siding would be the most basic ones.
So if I have to repair a fence, per se.
That's a totally different permit. That's a fence permit. This is just for building permits.
What about a deck?
That would be an alteration.
I'm saying if they're replacing an existing deck, they're rebuilding.
If they're replacing it the same, I think we should follow this.
That's what I would agree, that's what I would do.
Yeah.
Now,
If
hold on, what do you
anything
mean by
changes-
replacing? Like putting the deck?
Like replacing
the
bottom
structure
boards
itself?
or something like that.
But the
I had to have
structural
my deck
integrity
taken
of
up
the
a
deck.
few years ago, but they replaced it in the exact same footprint.
Right, but what I'm saying is that there's a certain amount of inspection, correct me if I'm wrong, for like footers and things of that
Yes.
nature, versus if I wanted to change my wooden deck that's cupping
Yeah.
to like the vinyl.
See, that may be the exception, because that would also require an inspection by a building permit,
Does the
inspector.
joist need to be tight?
Yeah, so if you're replacing boards, I think like the light, but if you're replacing the whole thing, and it's an inspection by our building inspector.
So that could be
So
considered.
still, folks are still encouraged to touch base with you also.
Yeah.
So they would still have.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm just starting with the planning department.
Great idea.
Good idea, Ryan. I like it. All right, anything else for her? Seeing none, any comments from the public? Okay, let's take action on resolution 2026-01.
Motion to approve. Motion to approve. I jumped in.
Hey Steve, welcome to the party. Councilmember Green's motion. Second by Councilmember Orris, all in favor say aye. All opposed, let the record reflect that resolution 2026-01 passes unanimously. Great job. With Councilmember Nichols and Vice President Burrell absent. Up next is agenda item 5, and that is a discussion of the mayor and council regarding local impact or local development council updates to multi-year plan requested for slot revenue utilization. Natalie, you want this one? Sarah, you want this one?
No, thank you.
Ivy? Mary? Natalie, you got it. Go ahead. Long pause.
Previously, we have a request from the, I guess, to resubmit our expenditure report reflecting more details that were provided in our multi-year plan. So we have attended last meeting where I have submitted the expenses as they're presented in our budget for fiscal 26, which allocated pretty much slots revenues to fund police layoffs and portion going to the public works bond repayment. In the past, we have submitted a plan which included community center, and we have requested to allocate some funds to build student-dedicated public restrooms. Those items were not included in expenditure reports because they were not part of our fiscal 26 budget and come later after the budget approval. So basically what is in front of you today is a revised expenditure itemization sheet. Sheet is called for local impact grant expenditures, basically. And what I'm restating here, expenses for fiscal 25 as they happen per audited financial statements. Total amount carried forward of local impact grant, which is slots revenues, and also fiscal 26 plan prediction of how slot revenues will be expensed during this fiscal year. So it's just a restatement in more detail form where the slot revenues go into fiscal 26. Included here, I am adding the construction of student-dedicated restrooms as you approved in the past. Decreasing the LEOPS amount funded originally because we've been told to phase away from the funding. Also adding higher amount to public works construction and engineering amount, and also allocating $175,000 to community center as been stated on the plan. Along with that, the plan kind of becomes not matching to what we talk in the expense report. So if you flip the page over 52, I'm readjusting the multi-year plan, basically stating the same thing, but fiscal 24-26 does not become a plan any longer. It becomes pretty much a reflection of 24-25 expenses and fiscal 26 plan. So the top portion is actual revenue received for 23, 24, 25, and 26 as projected. That amount is in our budget as of today. The bottom portion, which says expenditures, we have placed 425 in LEOP stabilization fund. Then we have paid actual amount to LEOPS for fiscal 25 to 68. We have allocated 159,987, which is expensed in fiscal 25 for public works building between engineering and some debt service. 250 is going to be a reduction in LEOPS funded for fiscal 26. I will present a budget amendment for your approval later on in February when we go a bit closer. That will have to be decreased from what we have in the budget right now. 59,000 been approved as expenditure. We just need to amend the budget to show that amount, and also I'm stating that amount on the expenses here. and then allocated additional $385,000 to public works. The leftover, and we also have $50,000 going to the ambulance each year, and we are in year 2 of 3, which next year will be additional $15,000. 175, as was stated previously on the submitted plan, is going back on this plan. The difference, what is received and what expensed or will be expensed in the later term is stated on the bottom with allocated to the community center public works. That will be resubmitted back, hopefully, with satisfactory progress to be improved. Going forward, my suggestion and my ask of Mayor and Council to basically allocate the slot revenues going to public works and community center. So it will be clear expense versus all these details being really looked at, and I want to say scrutinized, but they're all under the umbrella of eligible expenditures.
Just want to clarify one thing, when Natalie says public works, she means very much like what we do with the police station, which is to go to the debt.
So I remember when we went down to the LEC, this is, it sounds to me like what we're doing is fulfilling what was asked of us was to, they didn't love the ops, correct, being used for this funding mechanism. So you're phasing it down, and then the future plan would be for no LEOPS dollars to be used in favor.
So we actually received clearance to use the money for LEOPS all the way through FY27. But the challenge is that the recommendation of the LDC was, we want to see you phase that out. And we told them during the meeting that we would work to do that as quickly as possible. And we actually were doing that. And that's what caused us to get dinged, because we were phasing it out quicker than what the plan allowed. And Natalie was providing in-depth reports to them. If you look at what we provide versus what other municipalities provide, Berlin's reporting is much greater. Because we want folks to know where the money's going. We want to be transparent. But it has become such an arduous process with the LDC. And the hard work that we're putting in is not being rewarded in kind, I don't think, I feel like. And ultimately, what it's going to lead to is what we said the very day that we were there for the multi-year plan. The expenditure for LEOPS isn't going anywhere. We're just going to take the fact that they're scrutinizing everything we do, even though we're giving them more information, we're following everything to a T. We're just going to give it something clean and easy, and we're going to do what we want with the other remaining portion of our town funds, because it's such a pain to deal with them.
So this is a result of it.
This is the result, this right here.
Yeah.
Is the result of us trying to take what they said to do in FY28 and trying to do it earlier, because we took the feedback that they gave us. We were trying to help them achieve what they wanted, and in kind, much more of a pain. Yeah, because the plan ran through FY27.
The public restrooms, that you all approved the ability to use it in that manner without their permission. It wasn't already in the multi-year.
But it was an allowable.
It's absolutely an allowable expense. There's no, I mean, it's approved. There's no reason they shouldn't be able to. It just was missing from
The same way LEOPS is an allowable use.
It's just not their preference.
It's just,
As Mayor Zach said, the reporting that Berlin does is great and also probably too much. Like, we give them so much information. If you look at what the other municipalities do, I mean, they literally just write like the name of the street that they repaved, and that's it. It's going to streets. It's going to, whatever. It's so bare bones compared to what you all have done for so many years, and I think it just winds up creating a really unnecessary negative interaction and overall feeling about it.
So when we went down there, we had this plan. That plan expires at the end of FY27.
This fiscal 26,
the plan went through 27, I think. Yeah.
24 through 26.
So, okay.
I always thought it was 27.
So then we would be coming up this year on our next plan, which your recommendation is to focus on public works and the community center.
I'm
That's what you'd like to
confident
see.
that we will not be asked to provide a multi-year plan because it's not part of the required submission. The
Board hasn't let
multi-year
us know
plan
like
is
that.
not a
I think
requirement.
we should, yeah, but I think we should.
They're gonna make us turn around 10 times before we enter the
If
room.
we would be asked again to submit a future 3-year plan, my recommendation will be to divert slot revenue expenditures or expenses funded by slot revenues, I should say, to Public Works and Community Center.
So, I understand, you know, we did the LEOPS stabilization fund, that's there, that's good to go. LEOPS, I was under the impression cost about $390,000, $400,000 a year. Is that accurate?
It depends. It depends based on the salaries, years calculation. There's a formula. That was a prediction when we did the study.
Okay, so.
The actual expense of fiscal 25 is 268,434. That's the exact number
Okay, so these, I guess what I'm getting at, this is the full amount of LEOPS for that fiscal year?
for fiscal 25. Right.
For that, okay. All right. So now then, I would hope then that this year, during budget season, we're gonna talk about an LDC plan, because now we're.
Our plan's gonna consist of community center and public works.
That's it.
I'm not going down there with anything else. It's worthless, it really is.
You
There's-
went
we're already
into
just considering
LEOPS
your
knowing
plan.
that you would reach the point where it was fully funded by town funds, without LDC funds becoming part of it. You're just getting there earlier.
Right, no, and that's fine, but I guess what I'm getting at is it appears that we're still gonna have to do this 3-year plan.
I hope not.
I know, but we might wanna prepare for that.
Well, I have a question, if it's not required, why are we doing it?
Because they've been asked, they asked us.
Just tell them no.
Can you come to our next meeting?
You're welcome to join them.
I'd be happy to go.
I guess what I'm just throwing.
This is the first time in recorded history while I've been employed by the town of Berlin, we had to provide a multi-year plan. The only thing we've been required to provide in the past is how the last year was spent and what we will be thinking about.
It's a one-page
for the
form.
next year. It's one form.
We always gave a cover letter.
1 year
No
last,
one.
next year.
I guess,
sure.
right, but I don't wanna spend a whole much.
Right.
If over 3 years we receive from casinos, go gamblers, $1.8 million. And
It's
we're,
over 4 years. It's
Over
over
4.
3 plus projected number
Okay.
4. The
But what I'm-
26 is not received yet.
I think that I would think that we would wanna have a discussion here with finance and everybody else, that over 4 years, how we can navigate some of this funding to include Public Works and Community Center, but I know not necessarily all of them. For example, I've just thrown out the 15,000 for the fire company. I mean, that was a 3-year commitment, so.
It isn't here.
That's-
It's in
no.
that, it's on this picture.
Right, I understand, but I mean, looking forward is what I'm saying, is I think that we should have a discussion, maybe agenda item or a work session in the future about.
Why don't we do it when we do our budget? We have that discussion.
Yeah, that's all I'm asking, because I think we need to some
You
sort of.
need to be cognizant that the number of times we have had to revisit this topic is an incredible burden on staff. I say incredible. It's unnecessary. We have to keep going back and answering it again and again and again. So what we're trying to do is just make it as flat and simple as possible.
I get that. I totally understand what y'all are saying. I support you in that effort. But what I'm saying up here is I think we should all have a discussion on the particular projects that we would like LDC funds to go to.
Do we have a cost estimate?
That'll be part of course, that will be part of the
That's all I'm
budget.
asking.
Yes, of course.
Jay asked if we had a cost estimate for the Public Works facility. And right now, we really don't.
Now.
Well, it's your recommendation that we use these funds to pay for Public Works facility, very much like we did for the police station.
Well, we know what the debt is.
We know the debt service. but that does not
As of
include-
today, we have outstanding bond.
Right.
So the debt service being budgeted, funded by what?
And you want to use this fund?
I would like to allocate more for, like, example, DBF engineering invoices that do the study, or potentially whoever's gonna build the public works to cover that cost as
The
well.
road, the
The road,
utilities.
the infrastructure, the utilities going to public works would be funded by slot revenues, not
You don't-
just the bond.
Not taxpayers.
You currently don't have enough money to build public works.
All right. No, I realize that.
Right.
I say you, the town.
The bond was a starting place, but we knew that it wasn't a firm number.
So, but to Councilmember Wors's point, the budget process is the time for us to have that discussion. We will likely have that discussion before we go down, when is it, It's
April 27th or 29th, I don't know.
And then Ivy serves as one of the members on the LDC.
Correct, so I sit on the board for LDC, and all of this could be completely eliminated if we had a public hearing and asking what everyone would like this money to be spent on. We have the public hearing, it's approved, and that would solve it.
Yeah, we
Or
can
budget is
certainly.
during the public hearing. I would think that should suffice.
No, the way that it's written, to Ivy's point, if we want to, say the LDC says no to whatever our plan is, they can require us to have a public
That's
hearing.
contingent on what.
And then the mayor and council can vote, and as long as it complies with the state statute, we can move forward as is.
Correct.
So,
So today's agenda discussion is only for you to be fully informed that the report that's been submitted in November 12th is revised and will be resubmitted again, reflecting the actual expenses for fiscal 25 as happened because the year is closed. And fiscal 26 expenses reflecting the items that been requested to be there. Decrease in the layouts, including the restrooms, including a larger amount of public works, and the remainder will go to community center right now at 175 as was presented before. That's basically it. And then go into fiscal 27, we can discuss. And if we will be requested to supply a multi-year plan, we will have to recreate it again.
yeah, all right. And Sarah, can you add to everybody's calendar, including Gaskell's, our next?
You guys, absolutely.
He's gonna probably be kinder than what. But, all right, the agenda item 6, thank you Natalie, thank you Sarah, thank you Ivy, and Mary for helping with that discussion item. All right, up next, agenda item 6, announcement. I put this on the agenda just because I recall our process with short-term rentals. I foresee that we're probably gonna have something similar with this, and I want to get it on everybody's radar. I've spoken with Matt, the planning commission chair as well, likely aiming for a potential joint work session of the mayor and council and the planning commission to review the information that's on hand. There was and Ryan, please fill in if I missed something, Mary the same way, but there was a task force or something created to study auxiliary dwelling units. They did their work, they recommended that through the State Bill 0891 and House Bill 1466. Last session, they did pass, and which requires, we put it in page 53 and 54 of the packet, the email that we received from the Maryland Department of Planning. It says in paragraph 2, requirement that every county and municipality adopt a local law authorizing the development of ADUs on land with a single-family detached dwelling won't go into effect until October 1st, 2026. The reason I think we need to have this on our radar is we really have between now and about April, the way I see it, to craft something, I think. It's going to require public input. It's going to require time of us meeting and working through something for Berlin, because in April, we really ramp up pretty heavy for the budget through to about May or June. At that time, I think during the warmer time of the year, people aren't as active and engaged. I don't feel comfortable having that level of discussion in the summertime when we want that public feedback. And then if you wait until after summer, you're in September and it goes into effect in October. So really just trying to put it on everybody's radar, and it's something we're going to have to work through together.
To point out, the email that's included in the packet, there's a couple of little areas that have red boxes. Those are actually links that you can go to the state information about it.
Mayor, are you anticipating doing a little subcommittee for this?
I don't think so. I think what we're going to do, I think the best way to move this forward is probably at least one, maybe a couple joint meetings of the entire mayor and council and the planning commission. I really think that's going to be our best route to get this across the finish line.
The biggest problem with this is that, once again, the state passes legislation, and without thinking anything through, and how it's going to come to fruition and be operable. And I can think of the biggest issue, that we're going to allow people to build accessory dwelling units on their residential lot, in addition to the home that's already there, without the EDU.
No.
I guarantee you, they didn't think about that.
Well, they even went as far
So
as.
you put maybe a 1 or 2 bedroom apartment on your property with the thinking that no one thought about how this is going to affect sewer, water and sewer.
They've even capped some of the stuff. They've said that you can't make the cost of implementation arduous or prohibitive or punitive or any of that
As
stuff.
to the EDUs, we're charging the same rate that we would charge for any EDU, so I mean, that's just what it is. If you suddenly implemented a $10,000 permit fee for me, that would be different.
So
Attractive, maybe, but.
it is. It's going to be troublesome to work through. But I think
The important thing that people need to keep in mind is this is mandated by the state. We have to have this conversation and we have to have something in place.
by October,
Right.
like we don't have an out.
This is, yeah.
Has MML come up with anything yet?
Not that I'm aware
Like a
of.
model ordinance?
I don't know if they will. I think the task force has a lot of guidelines in there that they work through. I'm not hearing anything coming out of MML yet.
So depending on zoning, it can be short-term, I think it says here, bill exempts historic properties and short-term rental of ADUs from this requirement.
Correct.
So,
We allow that for all kinds of time.
right, but, yes, I get that, but, it's a controversial.
It is. It does give you the ability to establish regulations, but you have to make sure that they're reasonable. You can't establish regulations that make it impossible for someone to build or to have an ADU, convert an existing building or.
Yeah, the requirement of purchasing an EDU is restrictive.
Those are all good. The way that I see this playing out, and I said this to Matt from the planning commission as well, is that we all come ready to listen to the information, absorb the information. We are going to need to have done some diligence on our part. Right, reading the bill, reading the task force reports, all of that, we're going to work on getting together so that everybody has the information. It's going to be our jobs to work through it and then come prepared to have a discussion about what we like, what we think, even as far as with the fact that we only have a few months. Coming together with, to Gaskell's point, we're not the only people who have ever had to adopt an ADU. So do some researching, a simple Google search, find what you like. If there's a piece of an ordinance that works for, or that you think could work for Berlin, come ready to discuss that so that we have something we can kind of frame up and see where we're going as a pathway. And then we got to get some public hearings on it. All right. Thank you all. Let's move on to agenda item 7, report, town administrators report and departmentals.
I just want to note, in addition to the accessory dwelling unit conversation, we are also going to be having public meetings in a variety of forms, doing work sessions, or workshops regarding the comprehensive plan update, the reconnecting communities discussions, and just to make things really easy, because town hall's going to be closed, we don't know where those meetings are going to be at. But as they come up, we will be putting that information out. But these are all things that are vitally important for public participation. And that can extend to organizations or businesses, or it doesn't just be citizens. But that input is vital.
And Sarah, I think we locked down.
Actually, I wanted to say, Mary, that's not true. We know exactly what
I
our
was gonna say,
meetings will be.
well, and some of
We
the
don't know
Mary
where the
Council
comprehensive plan meetings will be as yet.
and Mary Council meetings when we're closing town hall, they'll be held at the library.
The
For the
majority.
most part.
Good job, thank you for locking those down. And anything to add? You good? Departmentals are in the packet. Any questions for Mary or regarding the departmentals that are in our packet this evening?
Well, I'd actually just like an update on, I saw the note to what Welcome Center. Can you tell us what's going on with the Welcome Center?
As far, actually, I'll let Jimmy, are you talking about the work that's been
Yes.
done in there to get
Yes.
it ready?
Yeah.
I'll let Jimmy just have a little more.
So we've been going in, working with Ivy and Allison, and decluttering the area, removing a lot of, and then any of the pictures and stuff, we took all the pictures, stored them in the trailer, the event trailer that we had, and we really just been decluttering the whole area. Today, we actually, we looked at, we changed the door out, so we're gonna have a barn door type of, after you come in the foyer, so that's where customer service will be. So they'll still have a place where people can come up, pay their bills, so.
Not a barn door, a half door.
Like
A barn door is usually one that slides back and forth. This is
Like a half door. And so we have ideas and we're gonna do a
I think they're Dutch doors, right?
And
Maybe that's what they're called, yeah.
Oh, Dutch doors.
So we're gonna actually do a walk around tomorrow. And we're gonna start trying to figure out, laying out where people will be transitioning over the next month.
So in the report, it says that there's concern about mold. Has the underlying cause of the mold been identified?
We went through and we had Royal Plus.
Yeah.
Royal Plus come in, they identified some areas in each of the, simply around just about every window, especially on the south side. And they cut out areas in every one on the south side of the windows.
They recommended putting in new flashing to take care of the leaks that have been happening, and once that's done, they can, they've already remediated, so they just would need to put new drywall up and stuff in there, but.
We were in this morning and we did not see any leakage from this weekend's rain. And that was a positive. I know we've been working on areas over the last year. I think some of this damage is from over years of where the mold would probably came from. So we're hoping we didn't see any leakage, and we'll end up putting some new drywall in, and then hopefully in the next 6 weeks we'll be transitioning into over there.
Sounds good.
Is there any issues with the roof?
We have not seen anything that, again, like we were in this, we didn't see any roofing. There's possibly, I don't know.
Yeah, so I'm there. So the roof was replaced about a decade ago. We haven't seen any leaking from the roof. What happens is when it's raining and it's windy on that south side, the rain blows in through the windows.
It forces.
Right, it forces. So my office, it doesn't happen often, but it'll flood from the rain coming in the window, and I'll have a puddle in the middle of the floor, and wondering what's happened here, thinking that maybe there's an underground spring and it's coming up through the ground. Who knows? But I think that the bigger problem is just to make sure that doesn't continue. If you put the drywall up, how are you going to know? So I'm just it's a little disconcerting a little bit. It smells pretty bad in there still.
Are we thinking of putting any type of sealant on not on the window, but around because from what you're describing, it's coming in from the outside through the windows, maybe through the cement, and I put drywall up and it gets in between the drywall and wall. Is there any type of
We're going to
sealant?
meet with Royal Plus again and go with their recommendations.
Okay.
And then probably have them do the work, because they seem to be understanding where the specific areas need to be addressed.
Smart idea. Anything else? Anything for departmental reports? Okay, let's move on. Thank you all. We appreciate it. Up next, comments from the public. Anyone that would like to address the mayor and council may do so at this time. Just name and street name.
My name is Kristen Walston, 36172 Windmill Court. My son, Nicholas Rickards, was awarded the Officer of the Year by the Berlin Police Department. He received that award as a first-year officer. I was very proud of him.
His grandfather was the barrack commander at the Berlin Police Department, so he heard many stories about his grandfather and following the law. My husband died when Nick was 10 from ALS, so I was a single parent and raised him. He had a strong belief, and still does, in protecting people and doing the right thing and ethics. As soon as he graduated from Warwick, he joined the Berlin Police Department and went through the academy with 2 other young officers who were, again, gung-ho, awesome guys. They signed a contract with Berlin and began their careers. Several months later, another young gentleman, older than my son, but probably about 7 years older, also joined. He did not have to sign a contract with Berlin and left a couple months thereafter. So Brandon left, joined a Salisbury agency, didn't owe the town any money, didn't owe anyone anything, was never asked to sign. My son stayed with the department, always was proactive, again, was awarded an award after he resigned from the department. As soon as Nick resigned, 2 other officers also resigned, and then the chief retired. I came today as a voice for my son because I listened to the revenue. I've grown up in this community. I've been raised by people that are in law enforcement who follow the law and who believe in protecting the citizens of Berlin. That's how I was raised, and that's how I raised both of my sons, by myself. So after Nick started his career and was proactive and was on the streets and was making arrests and really trying to make a difference and feeling really excited about that, which you're aware of, he started to realize that not everybody that had the badge maybe had the same work ethic and maybe didn't have the same character as he. And I explained life's not fair. It's like that in any job that we have. You have people that follow the rules, people that don't. Just keep your course, do your best. As you're all aware, and I'm not here to talk about all the letters that were written by the officers. I'm not here to talk about, you're aware of personnel issues. And that's, again, I'm not here to throw that out. You're aware of, I'm sure, other things that happen within the department. What I'm here to tell you is that the chief told my son in a staff meeting that his proactive stance would be better used in another agency. He said that in front of the entire agency. Your stance, you being proactive, would be better at a different space and place. When my son heard that, my son did apply at another agency. Now, I don't want to get into everything else that happened because I do think it is a personnel issue as far as body cam footage and other things that my son went through while at the department. Again, I just told my son, you follow the rules and you protect the people of Berlin and you don't worry about your superior officers and what they do. Because that's what the mayor and council has to worry about, not you. You just follow your course. So when Nick left, he found out that he owed Berlin $12,000. I listened tonight to the revenue. I come to the events. I live locally. I know that my son made $52,000. My son didn't even take bereavement when his grandmother died in October because he said Graham would want me to protect the people. Now my son owes $12,000 and drove a car that didn't even have four-wheel drive, so another officer would have to pick him up to take him to work to drive around to protect the people of Berlin when the weather was bad. And still, he fought, he came, and he protected, and he showed up every day. He didn't take sick days. He was gung-ho. And now I'm seeing a kid who is like, explain this to me. The mayor called me at home and talked to me off hours and asked me things. Other council people called me. I was honest. I shared what was going on. I didn't write a lot of letters like the other guys did, but I just did my job. And now Brandon goes and leaves and owes no money to the town. I have to come here and give $500 a month. And I said, I need to come to speak on this because I know life's not fair. I know we're all different and there's equity and inequity and discrimination and hostile workplaces. But in a town like this, to have a young officer who was again awarded Officer of the Year after he resigned because of how well he did his job. And I'm not going to throw out statistics, because I know you all can look that up, as far as the number of stops that my son had in comparison to other officers. He wanted to help. He wanted to stop drunk drivers. I can tell you firsthand that my stepson got stopped 2 times drunk driving 4 years ago, and one of the officers let him go and drive. That's still working for Berlin. So I put that in my head, and I was like, okay, now, again, you do you. You can't worry about the other people, but protect the people here in Berlin while you work. So again, I asked the council and ask you, Mayor Zach, how is that, explain to me how that is okay. How you can have one officer sign a contract who's a young officer and proactive and a go-getter. Another officer comes in later, and you don't have him sign anything, and then he just walks away and leaves. And writes scathing letters and continues in Salisbury to verbalize what happened here in Berlin. My son doesn't, because of his character, doesn't talk about things that he went through, doesn't talk about other officers. He keeps that in because that's not his character. But yet he has to come here and pay $500 until he pays off $12,000, when again, he made $52,000 a year. And I find that really difficult as a mom who has raised 2 sons to be men of character and taught them to follow the rules, to then have to sit and listen and try to explain how this is okay. So help me understand that.
So sadly, I don't know if I'll be able to do that. I said that as well via email to you.
I emailed you, Mayor Zach, on the 18th, and you responded January 2nd and said this is a personnel matter. My son emailed you 3 weeks ago and asked for a face-to-face before we had legal action, and you have yet to talk to him.
I've talked to your son multiple
You haven't,
times.
sir, you haven't talked to him.
What I can say is that it is a personnel matter. I did tell you that as well via email. And I have 2 children myself, they're much younger. So I try to put myself in your position where you're frustrated, and I understand that. But there's only certain stuff that I can share with you, unfortunately.
Can you tell me, Mayor, why it would be okay to have one officer sign a contract and another officer who's hired after that officer not sign a contract?
What I can say to you is that the town's policy is that if we're gonna put somebody through the police academy, they sign a contract.
But Brandon West did not sign
I
a
can't
contract.
comment on specific matters, but I can say the town's policy is to have officers that we send through the academy sign a
But
contract.
he did not. I'm friends with his mother and friends with their family, and he did not. So I'd like you
And
to explain
there are
that.
things that you can say on the public record here, and things that I can't say because they are personnel matters. And I've said what I can say about the contract.
Okay, so what I hear you saying is that police officers are supposed to sign a contract, but you didn't have that officer sign a contract. Is that what I hear you
What I
saying?
have said is the
Okay.
town policy regarding contracts when we send an officer through the academy.
Because so Brandon West did go through the academy, he did not sign a contract, and now he left. I just want to make that clear for the record.
The other thing I
Make
want
that clear.
the other thing I want to say is that we typically allow 2 minutes for public comment. I think
Yes.
you have exceeded that, and I want to respect the fact that you have something to say. And I want to give you that space to say it, but you have exceeded the time.
Can I ask you if you were planning on speaking to Nick to help resolve this issue before legal action is?
The matter with your son is resolved from the town's standpoint.
So what I hear you saying is that you are not willing to speak with my son any further?
I'll certainly speak to your
Okay.
son, and I feel like your son and I are on good terms. In
You're
my
incorrect, sir.
Okay, well, I've been known to get things wrong
It's just
periodically,
a
but
respect.
I have
He
nothing.
respects,
but
he
listen,
does respect people
hold
that
on,
are honest.
Give me this space to
Good
be able,
respects.
that's fine. Give me the space to say my statement.
Yes.
And that is that I have nothing but great things to say about your son and his service to the town of Berlin. However, that matter regarding the contract is solved.
Transparency, sir, transparency.
Yes, ma'am.
Calling officers after hours, there's a lot to be said for integrity. A lot to be said.
Thank you. Anything else?
Again, I would hope that you would reach out to Nick to try to resolve this issue before legal action comes your way.
Thank you.
Because again, it's very disheartening.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all.
All right, anyone else that would like to address the mayor and council regarding public comment? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to comments from the council. I have no the direction, so go ahead and start, Councilmember Mayor.
Nothing tonight, just Happy New Year to everybody, looking forward to 2026.
Thank you. Councilmember Orris.
I have nothing, Chairman.
All right, Councilmember Green.
I just want to, it's completely off topic from what we just heard, so I wanted to hear your thoughts on New Year's Eve. I was down there, obviously a huge crowd. Sorry, yeah, just huge crowd. My layman observation was, we had this conversation during the special event schedule approval from Sterling Tavern about the start of the time of the ball drop. So I just got down there about 5:30, about 6:30 it's clear. I just kind of share Matt's concerns. I'm a little bit concerned about the start time and wanted to hear your thoughts if it was something that, after hearing Matt's concerns a month ago, because I do wonder, I know it's a successful event, I love what we do with it. I do wonder if we can somehow, it's the clear out that concerns me the most. It's a good thing, for the staff, but they literally do leave town, not everybody, of course, some restaurants were jammed. But just wanted to hear your thoughts on, we said we would be visited after, the start time. What's your thoughts on it?
Sure, so we did a walkthrough throughout the day. Town was busier that day before the event than it had been in previous New Year's Eve days. My take on that is people knew that they wanted to wait for the 6 p.m. ball drop, so the shops were busier that day. The shops did better that day than they had in previous years. Walking around town, 7:30, the restaurants still had waits. So the streets, of course, may have been clear because we opened the road, the shops aren't open, everyone was piled into the restaurants. Went to Berlin Beer Company because there was nowhere to eat at 7 o'clock, 7:30 in downtown Berlin. Berlin Beer Company was jammed. I think 50, I think they were all busy. But the 6 p.m. ball drop event is also for the residents and for the young families of Berlin that really love to come down. There were so many kids. We ran out, we ordered 400 of the light sticks. I think we had 500 cowbells. Just the amount of young families that reached out, how much they love being able to be there early. Kids are in bed by 7:30, so 9 o'clock. I think that this works really well for the young families that come down. We heard nothing but positive reinforcement for the 6 p.m. ball drop time. Okay. It's turned into family traditions. There's great grandmas, grandmas, whole families who are here for the holiday week who come down. It's a tradition for them now. So when you move it later in the evening, it's more of a drinking festival.
Yeah, it was just an hour.
So there's a lot of bars and restaurants that took it upon themselves to do their own midnight thing for New Year's Eve, and that's wonderful. We want the businesses to be busy. We want the bars and restaurants to be busy. There was a talk about that the town had canceled the midnight ball drop again this year, and that wasn't in fact the case. And so people were calling me, why did you guys cancel the ball drop? Why did you cancel the midnight ball drop again? So I had to put something up on social media. The year that the midnight ball drop was brought back full force after COVID, we decided to turn that into an entire night of entertainment to bring people back. Hey, COVID's over, come out, we've got a 6 p.m. ball drop, we've got live music all night. We spent extra money on marketing that event, hired different bands to come and perform, and it was the lowest turnout for the midnight ball drop. Yeah, people have parties at their house and they come down 15 minutes before midnight, they watch the ball drop, and then they go back to their houses.
No, I'm not, certainly not advocating, I was just advocating the return of the midnight ball.
Right, but the other thing I wanted to mention is, you know, social media is a powerful force, and sometimes we use that to get feedback, especially from the locals and people who are coming here. So that post was viewed nearly 400,000 times. I would say 99.8% of the feedback was positive, and there's maybe several people who didn't particularly like it, which is, you know, everybody's not going to like everything. And of course, you know, the restaurants, of course, they want business all night, and we get that. But we also have to listen to the residents who really wanted something to do with their kids that night.
Yeah, I think I'm maybe misunderstood. I absolutely support the event. It's I think the one that brought up the away with the midnight ball drop. I was specifically about the timing of 6 o'clock p.m. because we hear from the bar restaurant owner that asked why 6. We know because of Berlin, Germany, but I think that's kind of over.
Well, here's how I like to look at it. Because it was also the Stranger Things finale, so it was New Year's Eve. It was midnight upside down, right? Just a little play on Stranger Things there. But honestly, the people, because it was busy all day, people came for lunch and then they stayed. They shopped and then they stayed. They ate an early dinner, then they ate a later dinner. Yeah, the drinking crowd isn't going to be there, but the people who are dining, the families who are coming, if people want to drink on New Year's Eve, you're more than welcome. Stay in the bar all night and you know, do your thing. But
yeah, it was just more about 6 o'clock,
Yeah.
7 o'clock. That's what I think. That's what.
Yeah, there's a lot of there's babies, strollers, and they get their kids back. They get them tired. They're dancing for an hour and they're tired, and they all go back. And I think that it's a really positive thing that the town is doing by having a family-style New Year's Eve celebration.
There's lots of things for adults to do on New Year's Eve, but family opportunities.
And the thing about Berlin also is that when you know, at Ocean City, they do a variety of things. They also have a bus service and they have a variety of hotels. When you think about everyone who's here at midnight, where are they staying? There's thousands of people. They're getting in their cars and they're driving away. If we don't have the capacity to house 3,000 people. There were 3,000 people at the 6 p.m. ball drop.
Can I just add, and then this is just from talking to parents with little kids, now a mom with a little kid, they thought that there was a lot going on in the tree lighting with the sculptures and the snow and the music, and it was a lot more geared towards kids at the tree and versus the ball drop. They were hoping that we could split and like put ice sculptures during the ball drop. So when the ball drop finished, they felt like the kids didn't want to go home, but there was nothing on the street to do. And restaurants were super busy, they couldn't get food. There was no vendors outside, there was no hot chocolate, no music. So
There were supposed to be, everyone was, they were sick, yeah.
Shifting a little bit from the tree, the ice sculptures, for example, music to the ball drop will allow people to feel more of a festive environment at 6 o'clock. That's just what I've heard so far.
So if I can
Make it more of an event, so just less than
a festival.
I mean, I like that idea of that as well, but I did want to I did think of two things. Thanks, Steve. When I was, out and about, I did see folks who were, it appeared they had parked in the fire company lot, and were walking up to the ball drop, and, of course, right at 6. So I think that if I understand, and I don't want to speak for Steve, but I think that the 6 o'clock was the crux of his statement. So I don't know if we could look at 6:30. I don't think that he was saying.
I guess I don't know what I just said, but I wanted to ask about the start time, the ball drop time is what I was specifically, because I thought I didn't say that. What did I say?
So maybe
I'm not advocating for the midnight ball drop to come back at all. It was, we heard from he came and expressed his concern about the 6 p.m. ball drop and wanted to know if we had any flexibility to push it back. And it sounded
Of course there is. Of course there is. Of course there's, whatever you would like to
If you
do.
want a different time, we will absolutely work with that. But this does work.
I was asking just for feedback.
So why don't we
Boots on the ground.
try this? Why don't we take Steve's feedback, Jack's feedback, Natalie's feedback, and you all work some magic in economic development and figure out what we can do to kind of enhance the event.
Sure, I'll add more money to my budget for next year. I can definitely.
It sounds like we got two yeses to work with, so that's a good thing. But what I would say is, don't make it extend super far.
Right.
But I think if we did it from like 6 to 8, would be okay, or 6 to 7:30.
6 to 7:30. I'm thinking you start a festival at 6, ball drop at 6:30. And then 7 is probably, you're gonna have some people who will hang around a little bit because they will want activities.
They
and
were
that
just
kind of
as
thing.
informative, they were saying, we parked, we were looking for the parking, we finally parked, and then we watched the ball, and then I tell my kids, now we go home.
Yeah.
And it's a total meltdown.
Yeah, so maybe like not too long, but just like an hour, hour and a half.
The parking lot, at 5 o'clock, we might have had 50 cars. At 5:30, we might have had 75. But at 5:45, we had 150.
Yeah.
So a lot of people didn't arrive to 5:30.
Yeah, Jimmy and I were texting because the boys weren't feeling 100%. He's like, "Are you coming up?" I'm like, "I want to, but like I got this." And he's like, "People are showing up. They're getting more."
Then we came uptown, and then I was standing right here, and the same, I was on this side, and there was still the same, and you still see that rush right at quarter up. But then afterwards, the rush too was, all right, we're going. So, and I don't know if adding more things will, and I'm just saying, I don't know if adding a whole many things will keep people. I think they were only coming, a lot, I would say, some people were only coming to see the ball drop. I know businesses want something, but people were only gonna come and.
2 of the bars were even closed that whole day.
Yeah.
Maybe they didn't know we had country singer Jimmy Charles on there.
Well, we have 300.
We have plenty of time to decide.
Exactly.
But I will be adding more money in my budget for that event. Thank you.
Steve said,
Good enough.
I just have a double real quick, something I did forget, but the events reminded me, kudos to everybody involved, me and Allison, on the posting of the event listing with the organizer. I think that is very helpful to everybody, and I just want to give you a public kudos to everybody who worked on that, but I'm pretty sure it's Ivy and Allison, so.
Okay, guys. Good job. All right, up next, comments from the mayor's office. Sarah, you got it?
I do just want to make sure that you all receive the invitation to our Reconnecting Communities and Neighborhoods public engagement sessions. We have been working with the Maryland Department of Transportation and have consultants who've been working over really the past 2 years to bring the Reconnecting Communities and Neighborhoods grant to this stage of the phase 1, which is planning a bike and pedestrian crossing across 113. There's 3 different potential crossings that the consultants have reviewed, that we did an in-person site visit with the engineers in September, and now we have a public engagement portion where we'll get to present that to the residents in the town of Berlin, and we have 2 meetings set in person. The first is on Wednesday, February 11th at St. Paul's United Methodist Church at 6 o'clock in the evening, and the second is in person on Thursday, February 12th at 9 o'clock in the morning at the Worcester County Library, Berlin Library. And we will probably have a virtual meeting, a third option after those 2 meetings, once we see what the turnout is like. I sent, and the mayor and I sent individualized personal invitations to committee members, volunteers, to all the people who participated in our strategic planning process 2 years ago, because it's so tied to the One Berlin outcome of our strategic plan. And I really hope that we have a good turnout. I hope to see the mayor and council there, and then I've invited my colleagues as well. So thank you.
Same content for both meetings.
Yes,
so you
only
can-
one.
You don't want to attend.
Yeah.
So, thank Thank you, Sarah.
Thank
I
you.
really don't have anything else that hasn't been discussed so far.
I do want to add one more thing. If you have not yet responded to the requests to assign dates, times to comp plan work session with the planning commission, please do. Yeah, the second round. We weren't able to schedule one in January like we
That's where
hoped,
I'm at.
so we're aiming for February.
Was that for Laura?
It was for Laura or Kate, I couldn't remember, sorry.
I think I can.
I'm leaning on whoever looks less busy in the moment, which is neither of them ever, but.
No one. All right, thank you all. With that, any comments from the press? You stayed. No comments, no questions? Okay, all right, well, thanks for staying.
Mayor, can I have a minute before Jamie murders me? I just want to bring to update logo license plate for the town of Berlin. If we would like to proceed with the process, we have to submit an application to MDA along with 25 requests.
We can do it.
So I will be forwarding the form to your attention, and we need to place 25 license plate numbers and 25 names.
Can Sarah run point on collecting?
Linda is running.
Okay, all right.
She's doing research and she's been in communication.
No, I mean, like, who wants to compile the list of names? Because it's probably gonna be citizens, employees.
Linda, I would start with council, then I would open to employees, and then to complete 25. Once the 25 collected, we will send it to NBA for approval of the logo license, and then we would open.
Okay.
Does it need to be like a petition with a wet signature, or just?
It has a certain information, it has a name, license plate, and VIN number of the vehicle.
Oh, I see, okay.
So it's a person who would be.
It's like a one-page sheet.
Yes.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if it was just an expression of interest or.
No, it's an actual commitment to license plate.
But also, what we should do is, let's do a social media post, and let's channel them rather than to Linda. Channel the names of people to Sarah.
Or to the manufacturing.
Yep, or we do like a Google form and have people sign up maybe. That way we can follow up with them. It's easier to track.
So it's an MBA form.
No, so then, but I'm saying, like, if a citizen's interested, we want to know how we can get them the form. Yeah. So we'll brainstorm a little bit about a way to push that out. Don't do a social media post yet, but I think a Google form might be the easiest way to collect some basic information. And then from there, we can send it over to Linda and she can
We
take care of it.
need to decide the first 10 among, because whoever gets the first name will be number one.
We're gonna let you all fight.
Yeah, well, I can tell you right now, the way that it's gonna go is 1 through 7's up here.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
And it'll go
Right,
1, 2,
right.
you guys can draw names,
No,
Mary
actually,
gets
I
7.
have a vanity plate coming,
Okay,
so.
okay, well then 7's up for grabs. But that's how the first 7 are gonna go. And then we'll open it up from there.
On that social media post, whenever it happens, can I just also please note that there are paper copies available in the office for those?
It's gonna have to be
It
paper
has to
copy.
be
Oh,
a paper
okay,
copy filled out, we don't have to just copy for that.
MBA.
Yep.
Sorry.
All right. I think that's it. Vice President Burrell. Got a motion by Councilmember Nur, second by Councilmember Horace. All in favor, say aye. Yes, I have